Hey friends, it's Liz, the official craft nerd, and welcome to my channel. Today is the I Got It, You Got It challenge, so let's get started. So the first item for the I Got It, You Got It challenge was a wreath form from the Dollar Tree. Now this is, I believe it was either a 12-inch or an 18-inch. I honestly don't remember now, but I decided I was going to take this ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby and just do a simple burlap ribbon wrapped wreath. And I'm just taking this and folding it down on the back, and I'm just going to secure it with some hot glue, and then I'll go ahead and wrap around the rest of the form with the ribbon. So for the center of my wreath, I wanted to try something new. And I had this linen fabric that I had ordered off of Amazon that I absolutely love working with. And I'm taking some of my Tim Holtz stamps as well as some of my Tim Holtz distressed ink. That one I believe was tea stain or something like that. I can't remember right now, y'all, but I just generously applied it to my stamp and I'm just stamping the fabric. I have been wanting to do some stamped fabric for some time now and thought this was just the perfect opportunity to test it out. And I absolutely loved how this turned out. And I know that I've got plenty of ideas now for the future of some other things I want to create. So, but just going with the theme, still keeping with my shabby chic. This is almost more of a French shabby chic look, I believe. But I really, really loved it. So I took that square that I had stamped out and I'm just generously cutting off those corners. That way I can glue this to the back of my wreath form. And I do glue all the way around. Now I'm only going to show how I glue just the edges. And first I'm just taking my little Cricut iron there and I'm just getting rid of that crease. So I love my little Cricut products. I use them for everything, even if it's not necessarily Cricut related. So it worked perfect for an iron to get rid of that crease in the fabric. So, but as you see here, like I was stating, I did go ahead and glue this down and I did secure it all the way around. And when it was all said and done, that's how it looked. And I really, really loved it. But you guys know I can't stop there. So I'm taking some extra pieces of those, that linen that I cut, and I'm making some linen roses. And I've made these before in the past and they're real simple to do. It's really just a folding and wrapping technique. You really can't mess these up because you're making a flower and you know the flowers are all different. They're all different types of shapes. So you kind of just, you know, manipulate the fabric as you go, gluing it down till you see something that you really like, and really truthfully until it resembles a flower, you know. So that's the whole point that we're trying to, you know, get to here, is have the end result looking like a little pretty fabric rose. I do make about 3 of these and felt like that was enough because these, you know, take a little bit of time to do, but they're not hard and the end result is just so nice. So taking some of that remaining scraps of linen, I also cut some other colors of that linen. I have a few different shades of it. And I'm gonna make just a scrappy bow. And basically all it is crisscrossing different fabrics together and then tying it together, bunched up in a knot in the middle. And then you just kind of fluff it out to your liking. Now I had a lot of fabric in this, so this was a very big scrappy bow, but I really, really loved how this looked and it was going to be perfect on this wreath. So what I decided to do was just kind of, you know, frame it out, see how I wanted it to be positioned. And I'm actually going to glue my scrappy bow right down there on the corner. And then I'm going to take those little corners that I had previously cut off of the linen that I stamped on, and I'm going to use those on this as well. I feel like the scrappier the better, you guys. I think that's what really brings out the shabby and shabby chic. It's just using bits and pieces of everything and anything. So that's what I'm doing here, is just gluing it all down. Then I'm going to take my roses that you see up in the corner that I already have put together, and I'm going to glue those down in the middle of my scrappy bow. And just to finish it off, I'm going to just take another piece of that linen that I had left over and create just a little hanger for the back of this, because this is a wreath that I can hang up in my home. And you guys, I absolutely loved how this turned out. So my partner for this collab today is going to be Jamie from Simple Roots, Simple Living. I absolutely adore her and her channel. She does some beautiful farmhouse decor as well as shabby chic style stuff, and she is amazing with power tools and, you know, flip projects and things like that. And I am all for a crafter that can get out there and get down and dirty with these power tools. So the second item were these silver napkin rings that you guys have probably seen in the Dollar Tree party section. And when I looked at these, I thought instantly they look like little tin cans. So that's exactly what I wanted to do, was kind of make these little mini, you know, shabby chic looking vintage tin cans. So what I'm doing here is just cutting out the little circles for the base of my cans. And then I'm going to glue together two of the napkin holder rings. I almost forgot what they were called. Together. Now once I have my little cans made, I'm going to put some glue at the bottom of one side, and I'm going to put my little piece of my paper plate down there. And of course it's going to be a little oblong, so I'm going to just kind of trim it up as best as I can there with my scissors. And then I'm actually going to take a nail file, which is one of my favorite tricks to do, and I'm just going to go ahead and file off those edges that I could not cut off, and it comes off perfectly. So if you guys ever deal with decoupaging or, you know, having paper overlap edges like that, you can always use a nail file, and it just helps clean cut those edges off. I took another piece of sandpaper though, and I did kind of scuff up the sides of my cans because I wanted them to look, you know, older and not so shiny. And I really loved how it helped give it that can look. So what I decided to do from there is just kind of dry brush some of my Waverly chalk paint and plaster over top all of the cans, just to, again, to add that shabby chic look that I'm going for. But I didn't want to cover them completely. I still wanted a little bit of the can to kind of shine through. And of course it wouldn't be me if I didn't take some of that antiquing wax and kind of dirty these up just a little bit. And then I do take my nail file and go over the paint just a little bit, just to rough it up some more. And then I'm going to add some ribbon and some details to the cans just to pull it all together for the look that I'm going for. And of course, once I'm done adding my little bows and all my twine, I just fill it with some flowers, and that's all she wrote for these. So for the third DIY, I am using the galvanized metal mason jar sign, and I had thought I wanted to completely cover this with this gorgeous scrapbook paper that I just recently purchased off Amazon. And I am an Amazon affiliate, y'all, so I will leave links to all of the products and my favorite products and tools down in the description box below. So if you are interested, you can look down there for them. Now, I cut this out and thought, oops, I made a mistake. I cut it all wonky. So instead of just scrapping it completely, I decided to kind of just make a label instead for the jar. Now, I did go ahead and coat this with some of my Waverly chalk paint and plaster. And once it was dried, I went ahead and decoupaged on my labels. So I do finish the whole sign with Mod Podge just to keep the paint from chipping. And then I'm going to add some details. So I'm taking a leftover strip of that linen that I had from a previous project, and I'm going to just wrap it around the neck of my jar. Then I'm going to take some additional scrap pieces of linen and some scrap pieces of ribbon, and I'm just going to create a little detail on the neck of the jar. And I am using those little lacy fabric flowers that I got from Hobby Lobby. Again, I adore these flowers. I think they add so much character to this piece. I absolutely loved it. And this was a piece of ribbon from Dollar Tree. I did find this ribbon at Dollar Tree, and I thought it was perfect to just add, again, just that little bit extra, because you know shabby chic, y'all, that's about as extra as it can get. So just to finish this off, I'm going to tie some twine at the top so it can be hung up, and that is all, you heard me, she wrote for this project. I say that too much, you guys. So for the final project, you guys, we are going to use the wooden dowels from Dollar Tree. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to do something just solely with those, but then I thought, no, I found these awesome picture frames that look like houses, and I was so ready to use them on something. So I decided I'm gonna make like a faux toolbox slash flower holder. I don't really know what you'll call it, but I thought it was cute. So basically I just removed all of the glass and the picture frame backing and everything. I'm just wanting the wood frame. I'm gluing the dowels in the corners of the house itself, and then I'm going to place them all together and leave it in the length of the dowels for this. So that's how it's going to give us that long toolbox shape. Now I wanted to put a base in there as well, so I am using some paint stir sticks that actually fit perfectly at the bottom of this. Now the only thing is I couldn't use them all the way across the bottom because it was a little bit too small to fit an additional paint stir stick in there, but I did manage to get about 4 in there, and then I'm going to use just a couple extra of the wooden dowels to fill in that space. So now I'm taking, again, that linen fabric, and I wanted to use that for my sides of my faux toolbox. So I'm just kind of figuring out how big I want it to be on each side, and then I'm just going to cut out my fabric, and we will continue to wrap this around the bottom of my faux toolbox. and glue it in. So I love how the linen fabric kind of naturally frays on its own, but you can kind of just tug at some of the strings and it will help fray it out a little bit more. I really felt like I needed to do that for this because I wanted it to look a little shabby and a little rustic, and it just worked. So then I'm going to take a dowel and create my handle, and all you do is just put some glue at the very tip of those frames on both ends, and simple as that, you guys. There is the handle for our box. So I give it a quick coating of the Waverly chalk paint and plaster again, and just to give it that extra, I just felt like it looked good natural, but I really liked it with the white. Definitely was the style that I was looking for. And just to kind of top it off, I did tie some more of that linen around the corners, just made a little quick tie, and then I'm going to take these other little fabric flowers that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to glue those on the edges of both of my handles. And of course, you guys, this is not to be super functional. So remember, if you want it to be sturdier, you would use some hot glue, some E6000. This is simply for decor purposes, so I'm not worried about it being actually functional. And all I'm gonna do is stick some simple little glass vases in there and fill it with flowers, and that's it. This is one of my favorites that I've done so far, and I really loved how this one turned out. So thanks again, guys, for stopping by. If you're new here, I really hope that you stick around and hit that subscribe button below, and come visit me on Instagram at officialcraftnerd. But as always, y'all, thanks so much and stay safe.